keep thinking back to, it was the benchmark. It was the golden age of the internet, and everything has been a steep downward trajectory since. But that moment was pretty fucking neat. There was a lot of things you could do on the internet. A lot of fucking things you could do on the internet. For fuck's sake. I moved to Portland with a gal. Her birthday came up. And have you guys ever heard of the Rosetta Stone software? You could say I figured out how to hand her that for free. It's not as easy anymore. It's just one silly fucking thing to throw out there. But I was looking at this. Autistic, Lifelog 2.0, story time, blah, blah, blah. 2 of those date back to 6 hours ago. Supposedly you and I are supposed to be connected to the internet, but no one's being shown what I leave online. There's a few people who do haunt the account, and I appreciate you guys coming back. It's the only way anybody sees anything I leave online, typically speaking, the shit that matters. Sometimes I'll leave noise on here because that shit's circulated. It might bring in somebody who might use their brain, but it is so few and far between, and it is absolutely disappointing, and it is by design, not by coincidence. It's a goddamn shit show. It's a goddamn shit show. Earlier I was thinking about the same train of thought that I was poorly rattling off a moment ago. At the time I lived in, unfortunately, it was the burbs on the outskirts of Portland. It's where I moved originally. It was cheaper. It was the only place I could find that I could afford at the time. And there's a train system that runs through there. They have public transport. There's a bus, but there's also an actual train system that you have to be an engineer to operate, which is kind of neat. They have a light rail system here too, if you've never been to Portland, which you don't have to be an engineer to drive, as far as I'm aware. But I was riding that the actual train. It's called the West, unless they've renamed it since then. And this is prior to me using Instagram, and this is over 10 years ago. And I remember telling myself, well, it might be kind of neat to leave photos on here, because I used to take I used to shoot a lot of photography. And I was like, it might be kind of neat to catalog some stuff, and other people, strangers might see it. Who knows? It might be a good thing. And that's what roped me into using LifeLog 2.0. Flash forward to today, and that hopeful sentiment has been dead and buried for quite a while. I keep saying patently fascist measures are in place. Censorship is alive and well, and it's because you and I aren't doing the right thing. I can squawk on the internet all fucking day, but if you and I and people by extension don't catch on to this like a fucking wildfire and aren't willing to fucking walk the walk and do the right thing to stop this shit, it just means it's only going to get worse. You give them an inch, they take a mile. I'm talking about the people who are pulling our strings, the people who gave us the DARPA internet, the people who convinced people that we need cell phones to carry around these little tracking devices that record everything. They listen to us. It's crazy. It's crazy. But they got us through convenience and entertainment, and it's working quite well. And this is just one of the many facets of social engineering. All of these fall under a larger umbrella in terms of what's going on. And most people have no fucking clue what's going on. Worse than that, they don't understand how reality works in simple terms, let alone at all. And this is across the board. I think it's on the Obsidian Monarch account. I have somebody squawking at me because I complained about somebody that was shopping around. It might be that Steve Mould guy, Mould. I could be wrong. It might be his post. I mean, there's a lot of people who whine at me because I complain on the internet. But I pointed out gravitons have never been observed. There's nothing you can recreate in a laboratory study, based on replicable evidence-based research that will ever prove gravitons exist, because they don't. Same applies to atomism and all the other shit, which means quantum physics is fucking garbage. It's hogwash. It's pseudo-intellectual slop for brain-dead Muppets. Anybody out there who, you don't have to say trust the science, but you can have a conversation with somebody, and the moment they bring up science, this is why some people out there, including myself, will urge you to consider that science is, by all rights, a fucking religion. What people are talking about, all these paradigms, this overarching scheme, it's part of the agenda to pave the way for a one world religion. This bleeds into what people call New Age and a bunch of other things because people don't have a fucking clue what's going on. Too many fucking thoughts. I thought about making a video earlier, or recording a video, making a video. It's fucking funny. I'm trained just like everybody else. I passed a house, and now I don't remember where it's at. And I think at the time I didn't have any memory left on the phone, or it just wasn't recording because fuck me and nothing works anymore. One of the two, but either way, it didn't happen. Passed a house. Oh, I know where it's at. Now I remember. It was a really cute little family home. And the gal that used to live there, she used to give piano lessons. She would charge, but she would also do it for free. There also used to be the best. Have you ever seen those? Some of you guys probably have them anyhow. A little book library, a little community library. One of the best ones I've ever seen. And unfortunately, it did promote dinosaur propaganda. But it was probably the cutest. I thought, well, it sucks because this is me also promoting propaganda, just encouraging you to think about this. It doesn't exist anymore. But I thought, yeah, the kids will love it because it's entertainment, but it is, and it was propaganda. I think there's a clip of it still on my Monkey's Tea Party page somewhere, and it's somewhere in my phone. I think I have it. Maybe I'll post it for you guys sometime. But this little family home used to sit really super fucking close to that little community library, and it was cute and it was quaint and it was nice. It felt wholesome. But today I skated by it. They have two flags outside of the house. One is the wartime flag of the District of Columbia, which some of you should know now is the American flag, which promotes what? The opposite of peace. It's just as good as separating your pointer finger from your middle finger and assuming that means peace, even though you're not thinking, if you're one of those kids who does that. It symbolizes victory. It symbolizes conquer and divide, the Hegelian dialectic, and all of that other horrible fucking shit. Not a union, not peace. If you bring those fingers together, think about it. It's intuitive. It's also iconographic. But people don't think about these things. The other flag outside of the house, and you might have guessed what that is, it is something that people haven't figured out for the most part. Some people have touched on aspects of it, but most people don't understand these things. Most people have been told that the ether doesn't exist. It's an outright declaration, just as the wartime flag of the District of Columbia is a fucking declaration of war, not peace. And there are many flags now having to do with this other jazz. It's a declaration against you and I. The kids who fly both of those flags, technically. It's a declaration of, I want to say animosity because I can't drudge up the word that I'm looking for. And maybe some of you can think of the word that I'm looking for. Please leave it in the comments if you want to do it. If not, oh well. And hopefully you know what I'm talking about. It's an outright attack on the very people who are flying both of these flags. The other one has to do with the alphabet community, the rainbow bullshit. And it's disgusting. If you just look at it and you think about, what do you see in nature? Sometimes you'll see pastels and what have you, but vibrant colors. The same applies to food. And now I can't think of another word that I'm trying to think of that describes the best food to eat based on color. Or just think of a rotting corpse on the side of the road, because I'm going to run out of time if I try to keep this under 10 minutes. Just think of just diluted colors. Watered down shit. That's what you see in these flags. And again, it's by design, not by coincidence. And this should stand to reason, but people are not fucking thinking about these things. You also see the way most people fly this rainbow flag that I'm thinking of, it creates an inverted triangle, which most people don't understand. Yes, that's part of reality, but it's only half. Just like I'm going to go over the 10-minute thing. Just as if you look at the peace symbol, not throwing it in like gang signs with your hand, but what people shop around, the truncated symbol. If you looked into that, here, let's just see if it will bring it up. Let's just see. One second. And it's on par with 55 having to do with the end of man, but also relating to Mercury. It's a bigger thought, but these two things are intertwined. Symbol of the end of man. Let's see if it brings it up. There you go. What does that look like? I mean, it's the chicken foot as well, which also has to do with Abraxas, which has to do with the demiurge, which has to do with Jupiter, which has to do with Baal el Allah, emphasis on the Allah. Peace symbol. And Google will lie to you because that's not the peace symbol. It's not. Alphabet flag. I thought maybe it would do it. Nah, it didn't do it. 1 second. LGBT flag. Fucking retarded shit. So it's the one on the top right in particular. And the way it was oriented was it was turned 90 degrees so that it droops, it hangs. And that's how they had the American flag flying too, the wartime flag of the District of Columbia, mind you. And if you think about it, then you'll see what I'm getting at with the inverted triangle. Assume it's a spurious correlation. Feel free. The one I saw today didn't have a stupid little fucking circle in it. It was more like the one on the upper left. These things are being sold on Amazon, mind you. So it's clearly not an agenda. In the age of patently fascist censorship, this shit is well circulated. No one's stopping this shit from being circulated. And that should terrify you, because this is an outright corruption. So some people on the internet have pointed out some of this. What I want you to think of, since I've already poured over this time frame, and this might be the last video for a while, or longer, if I keep to it again. We'll see. This isn't the best example here, but it does take out all the other bullshit. So you got the red root chakra on top, and you got the word on the bottom. Keep in mind there's purple having to do with royalty, but it's inverted based on what we experience. The red earth beneath our feet, so to speak, related to the etymology having to do with Adam and what have you. You could also think of the fire beneath our feet rising, and you could think of the chakra having to do with the word being the word, or the blue chakra having to do with water or the cold aspect. And usually I'll say frost falls, but that's just my mnemonic device to remember, the heat from the fire rises along with this, the smoke. Crudely speaking, usually I think of fog or frost, it drops to the ground and clings. It's just how I think of it. But this thing's completely ass backwards and upside down. But if you do think of what we observe in a rainbow, it does create a mirror and a reflection based on how you and I function. Just something you should think about. As always, what the fuck do I know? If you sat through all of this, thanks for hanging out. And if only we could time travel and kick this fucker in the dick.